And this is one of the best examples of a phenomenon we talk about from time to time. People tend to glaze over, so we're going to try to do it this time in a way that keeps them from glazing over. You've got 3 years left on a contract. Whenever someone gets an extension, and in this case it's a 2-year extension, there isn't a new 2-year contract that gets stapled onto the back end of the 3-year contract you already have. So you finish those 3 years, and oh, look, I'm starting on my 2-year extension. No, that's not how it works. They rip up the 3 years that remain, and they do a new 5-year contract. That's always the case. It's never an extra contract that gets added to the old contract. It's always a new contract. And in this case, when you have 3 years left and you only get 2 more years, usually it's you have 1 year left and you get 5 more years.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to pay attention to those 5 years, not the one that you have left. In this case, you still got the majority of the old deal from a duration standpoint that's left, and I think that's the way we need to look at DeAndre Hopkins, because what a difference, Chris. When you look at 2 years, $54.5 million, well, that's $27.25 million per year. That makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but when you look at the 5-year contract, it's in line with Amari Cooper. In fact, it's less total value than Amari Cooper if you look at a fresh 5-year contract that he's getting as he walks through the door as a member of the Cardinals. So that's the difference here. And you're going to hear superlatives on one end, and on the other end, you're going to hear reality. And reality is it's a 5-year deal worth about $18 million. Maybe it's 4 years, $19.75. There's a voidable year. We don't know the trigger yet to make that 5th year go away. But it's not Julio Jones. It's not the greatest contract ever given to any player who isn't a quarterback. It just isn't. It may look that way at first glance, but when you look at it more closely, it's not. It's still what he wanted,
right? And
the Texans weren't going to give it to him, but it's not as tremendous as some are making it out to be.
Yeah, I hear you, Mike. Well, first off, I mean, way to go, Arizona Cardinals. You trade for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. Well, yes, don't wait. This is on the horizon, and he's going to be a big part of your offense. Get out in front of it. Get it done now. Especially in this offense with Kyler Murray, I think we're all expecting him to explode a little bit. I'd be a little scared of a guy like DeAndre Hopkins maybe leading the league in receptions this year, then commanding more money next year. So good for them on that part. As far as DeAndre Hopkins is concerned, really good for him. Yeah, I mean, I know him a little bit. He's a great guy, tough as hell, good teammate, and I think the thing that I respect about DeAndre Hopkins and just knowing him a little bit, I don't think he gives a damn about some of all that other stuff. That's what I think's cool about it. I think he's got a little bit of a lunch pail, workman-like attitude to him where, it's not about like, hey, I got to puff out my chest and I got to be the top paid wide receiver in football, for a year or 5 months, or I have to hit a certain number to justify where I am. No, he obviously wanted more money. He wasn't looking to just absolutely crush the Arizona Cardinals that way. He is a team player. I think he realizes he needs a team around him and wants to build something there. And from that standpoint, I give him credit and I give Arizona both credit for getting this done and now squashing it, and now you don't have to worry about it or talk about it anymore.
Whether it's 5 years, $94 million in comparison to Amari Cooper's 5 years, $100 million, or 4 years, $79 million, which is just under $20 million per year average, $42 million guaranteed at signing for Hopkins versus $40 million guaranteed at signing for Cooper. You give me those two contracts, I'm taking Hopkins 100 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's relatively similar financial investment. And Hopkins, I think, is dramatically better than Cooper, don't you?
I do. I mean, yes. That's where I look at this and look at DeAndre Hopkins in a lot of ways and go, like, well, what a cool guy. Because he certainly could have sat there and commanded, no, I deserve more money per year than Amari Cooper. From what I've done, for what I'm still doing, whatever that may be, I'm healthy. I play on the field all the time. Those are questions about Amari Cooper, about Amari Cooper. So, yeah, I'm with you all the way there. I think DeAndre Hopkins is better than Amari Cooper, yes.
And see, the other side of it is the Cardinals just could have said, you're under contract for 3 more years. Play for us or play for no one, but they've given up a second-round pick and David Johnson to get him. Not that they wanted to keep David Johnson. It actually benefited the Cardinals to unload his $10 million salary. But having those 3 years left made it easier for the Cardinals to pay him less on that total 5 years or 4 years, however it shakes out. He also got a commitment that there won't be a franchise tag used on the back end. Now, 5 years from now, I don't know that he'd fall into that group of players that there would be a land rush for when they come to free agency because he's going to be 5 years older.
Yeah.
But still, it's what he wanted. The Texans weren't going to give it to him. That's why the Texans traded him. And I think that even when you look at this deal, comparable financially to what Amari Cooper got, the Texans' position would still be, yeah, we knew that's what it would have taken. We didn't want to do it for whatever reason.
Right.
Whether they want Deshaun Watson to diversify the offense and not constantly look for DeAndre Hopkins, or whether there was some stuff behind the scenes that maybe the Texans didn't like and didn't see a long-term future between Hopkins and the organization.
Yeah.
Right? Friction between Hopkins and Bill O'Brien.
Which it seems there's
haven't
rumors
we seen
there.
Talk about that.
Yeah. Right. There's been rumors about that, definitely. And I think between that and, then Billy O'Brien and the Texans realizing that he wanted more money and that was going to be, something that was going to have to be talked about or dealt with, they decided, okay, hey, maybe it would be better if we went wide receiver by committee and expanded our offense that way. And we can't have the highest paid left tackle in football, the highest paid quarterback in football, and then one of the 2 or 3 highest paid receivers in football too. That would be very hard to build a football team that way. And, really, you can have 2 out of the 3, but 3 out of the 3 could really handcuff you there and make some problems for your roster.
And you will hear people say that DeAndre Hopkins negotiated the deal himself. I just want to be, accurate factually. Here's what happened with this trend of players negotiating their own contracts. Russell Okung initially negotiated a contract by himself and got destroyed by the Denver Broncos. Richard Sherman negotiated a contract by himself, and even though he's still a member of the 49ers and he's been making the money that he was promised, it was not the kind of deal that protected him the way it should have. It was not a good deal. That is generally accepted. Since then, Okung, he got help behind the scenes when he negotiated his deals on his own. And there's a belief in league circles that the same folks who helped Okung helped Hopkins behind the scenes, behind the curtain. And I don't know why they're being so secretive about it, but that's the reality. And so a lot of these guys, when you hear they represented themselves, they really didn't. They just used a different model than hiring an agent and giving the agent 1%, 2%. I think the maximum fee is still 3% of the total value of the contract because, for whatever reason, guys don't understand. If you give the agent a small percentage of the pie, there's a chance that agent is going to get you a much larger pie where 97% of it is still more than 100% of what you're going to get on your own or with some advisors lurking in the background. Guys still don't understand that.
No,
they just don't want to give up that 1, 2, or 3%, Chris.
Yeah, no, you're right. They don't. I think a lot of the guys look at some of these contracts and think, they write themselves. There's a few little wrinkles in it that I might not need to be aware of, but other than that, a contract's a contract. And as we know, it's not. There's a lot of nuance to it. Agents are agents because they're good at it. They're good deal makers. They know how to protect their clients. I will say this, with a guy like DeAndre Hopkins and this type of deal, it seemed a little easier maybe than other ones we've seen that you have to work out, at least as far as that's concerned. And the other aspect.
What do you mean? It took 6 months.
Well, okay. I mean, it's a new team. He just got there. I don't know how, did they jump right into it? When did the real serious conversation start? Okay, but either way.
Well, remember he was missing practices?
Yes, he was the holding in. Right,
yeah.
Right. So I don't know when it got serious, but you're right. We knew this was coming. But my other point was, it's kind of cool that he wanted to do this because he has front office aspirations, which I'm never going to, fault a guy for trying to expand his horizons and get a look underneath the hood to see, okay, let me get a little experience. How do you do this? How are deals made? How do these conversations go on between GMs, players, and agents? So I respect him for that at least.
Let me just say this before we move on. And I don't want to go too next level conspiracy theory, but consider 2 realities. One, teams would love it if guys represent themselves.
Definitely.
They would love it. They want guys to represent themselves. They want guys to be emboldened to represent themselves because they know that if players represent themselves, they're going to be able to set the price. They're going to be able to talk the players into doing what they want the players to do. They're more likely to win at the bargaining table if the players don't have a traditional agent. And secondly, and this is the next level mini conspiracy, when you look at which media entities are hyping this deal the most as this tremendous deal, look at the connections from that entity back to the league, and it is the league. Yeah. So that's my Wednesday morning conspiracy theory. You can put that in your center square on your bingo card.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.